now, none other than little Steven Van Zandt. Good morning.
Good morning.
How we doing, Steve?
If I lose you in the tunnel, I'm going to call you right back.
Okay, no problem. No
What are you doing up?
Oops, I think I'm losing you already.
Nah, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know why, because the satellite usually doesn't work in the tunnel.
Well, we'll stay connected as long as we can stay connected. So we got this big event coming up where you're going to be honored for the Rock and Roll Forever Foundation, this first annual gala. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. It's nice. I haven't actually met the new governor of New Jersey yet, so that's going to be nice.
Oh, that's right. Phil Murphy, Governor Murphy's going to be honored as well, right?
Well, he's giving me the award.
Oh, okay.
Whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But
okay.
Whatever it is, he's giving it to me.
Don't ever say that.
I think it has to do with we're always fighting to turn STEM into STEAM, and let me explain that. STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, is the basic curriculum established, in our country, and we're always trying to add the A of the arts into STEM to make it STEAM. And New Jersey is the first state to actually adopt that officially. So I think it has to do with that. We've been pushing for that. I'm very proud of the fact that New Jersey is actually the first state to adopt STEAM as its official curriculum, which means the arts will now be included in all the classrooms.
Well, that's great to hear.
Well, you've been lobbying this for how long? A long time.
Well, I mean, technically 12 years, but we really been talking about it these last 2 years, and because we knew we were about to go public with this whole curriculum that we really just went public with it last year during the end of the Soulfire tour, and then we continued that with the Summer of Sorcery tour. But so the public knowledge of this whole thing is really only about a year old. But we've been in pilot programs for years, and dealing with getting teachers' input for years. So we've been, pretty vocal about it behind the scenes for the last few years, but just went public with it recently.
Right.
Wait.
Go ahead.
And by the way, we just, even though we just started, we have 25,000 teachers registered and teaching this curriculum already. So they're really digging it,
That's fantastic. That's great.
This is. Do any other parts of this change if you adopt this? In other words, anything happen to science and math, or this is just a new piece?
No. Our belief and science now backs this up is that people do better in science and math when they have the arts as well. The arts works on a different part of the brain, and it tends to connect the fire the synapses in a different way that has to do with things that are more in common for people, especially young people. Things like imagination and instinct and emotions and feelings. Those are the kinds of things that everybody has in common. And what we found and what teachers are finding is when students relax, when they're talking about the arts, they tend to relax, and they allow the teachers to actually give them the input that they need. So the art, and then that relaxation, that comfort zone that kids get in once dealing with the art, because in the art there are no wrong answers. They then take that comfort zone into the other disciplines. So they tend to do better in all of the other disciplines, science, math, etc., if they have some exposure to the arts. So it actually is more than just the aesthetics that people sometimes focus on,
Yeah, and if it's making the classroom an easier place for kids to live, that in itself is a huge achievement. We never had
that.
We went into a classroom, the major emotion was fear.
Yeah.
Not a great motivator.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Good motivator to get it back out on the street as quick as possible.
That's exactly what it is. We're talking with Steve Van Zandt, the great event that's going to be coming up on November 23rd at the Hard Rock Cafe in New York City, honoring Steven at the first annual gala of the Rock and Roll Forever Foundation. So, Steve, so you just wrapped up your tour, your Summer of Sorcery tour, the other, I guess, like a week or so ago at the Beacon Theater. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty much 2 straight years on the road, playing every other day. And we went, pretty much right from the Soulfire tour, took a month off to do the album, and then went right back out. So it's been a wonderful, one of the most productive 2 years of my life. The actual, my song's coming out on vinyl, remastered for the first time, December 6th.
Yeah.
And when that comes out, it'll be my 5th album in like 2.5 years, So, I mean, we had Soulfire, the Soulfire Live box set. Then we had the Lilyhammer score, and then Summer of Sorcery, and now my first 5 albums are going to be remastered and come out. So, it's been a very, very productive couple of years. Really, the most productive of my life.
Yeah, because those, like you said, the two albums, Soulfire into Summer of Sorcery, with the Lilyhammer in the middle of it. I mean, it just seemed like nonstop for you, and it's just been been great. You said 3 years, 2 years.
Well, it's been really. Soulfire came out in May of 2017, so that's about 2.5 years, I guess it is.
Right? If you haven't heard it out there, the material Steve is doing, first of all, it's a lot of it is stuff that you would probably not imagine him doing, in terms of beats, in terms of all kinds of things, and the rest of it is right to the core. There is no middle. The Soulfire album was one thing, which was, me recording songs I've written for other people, and that was really fun, just a nice kind of summary of my, 40 years in the business, whatever. But the Summer of Sorcery album was really a gift. I mean, that was an absolute evolution of my work, and that was a completely unexpected gift that I completely credit the band. That I had the same band the entire time, and these are the best session guys in New York, and they stuck with me. They were very loyal for the entire 2.5 years, and I think that made all the difference because I'm a band-oriented guy, so I need that sort of support system, and they gave me such a strong foundation that halfway through the Soulfire tour, all of a sudden ideas started coming to me, and it really was a new kind of synthesis and a new kind of evolution of everything I've always been into, and that turned into the Summer of Sorcery album. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful gift at this stage of the game to put on an album that I consider to be, maybe my best work ever. I mean, that was, a complete surprise. And again, I credit the band. Mark Ribler put together this amazing band for me, and of course I included a couple of guys that've been with me forever, Eddie Mannion and Stan Harrison. But and Clark Gayton was on the E Street tour. But other than that, it was pretty much all new people, and they stuck with me the whole time.
Oh, I think
found they to evolve.
It's a real band.
Yeah. And Dave and I talked about it when we first received a copy of the Summer of Sorcery. We were both just blown away by how great that record is from beginning to end.
And seeing it even more.
And seeing it too.
It's actually an audio-visual experience. It really is. People are doing things all the time.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you got this box set, which looks amazing. We're looking at 7 LPs, a 4 CD set, Rock and Roll Rebel, which again you can pre-order now, and it's out on December 6th. So it's all your solo work that's been remastered, correct?
Yes.
and much more.
First time ever, you know.
Yeah. And there's so much more in there because there's some unreleased. There's like a whole disc of unreleased music. You know, how did you?
We just included a bunch of things that we thought might be fun for people to hear. Just songs that were never finished. You know, is one. You know, I kind of follow the development of a song on one of the tracks. You know, just and early stuff too. We actually have something there from Southside Johnny and the Kid, which was the thing that me and Southside did before the Jukes ever recorded. We had a country blues duo, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that's included. You know, various things. You know, performances I did on TV, and it's really been fun going through the archives and getting this stuff out for the first time. So yeah, there's a lot of extra tracks on it.
Yeah. So did you have all this stuff kind of locked away, or did you have to go kind of digging around for it?
No. I had Steve Berkowitz, who was one of the great archives. He's sort of the Indiana Jones of rock and roll. You know, he does the Bob Dylan records. He does the Miles Davis stuff. You know,
I worked with him on the 125th anniversary thing for Columbia. And
yeah,
he was,
yeah.
I like Steve anyway, but man, he was great to work with.
Between Steve and Richie Russo, who's a collector, friend of ours.
Right.
You know, some of my older, assistants like Holly Price. You know, people just, remembered things that I didn't remember. A friend of mine, Bill Tech, remembered something I didn't remember. You know, and they came up with it really because, I can basically, maybe remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I'm not going to, remember many songs.
Right, and you also put in this box set the Sun City tracks as well.
Yeah, we're going to continue to portion that part out to some beneficial related charity, and then we're also working on a whole new re-release of that for next year with a lot of footage from the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
We have amazing footage from those sessions that have never been released, including interviews and the guys recording, and we've lost so many of those people now. It really is something that's quite valuable and quite emotional. As I was looking through all the interviews, great stuff with Miles Davis, the Run DMC. I mean, a lot of people are gone. I mean, gone. Steve Baders is gone. So many of them. So that's gonna be next year. We'll put out a whole extended DVD of all that Sun City stuff. But yeah, the basics are included on this one.
If you don't know the Sun City stuff, it was one of the great. Let's see if I say this and Steve agrees or gets annoyed. It was one of the great integrationist projects in the history of rock and roll. It brought together so many different kinds of people with so many different bases in the music world. Mm-hmm. I got to be around a little bit of it, and it was inspiring every minute.
Yeah, you did a terrific book, which we got to include, in the new package maybe next year. But it was a unique situation because we weren't selecting artists based on their success. We were basing it on had they participated in something in their work that was meaningful, and so we had a whole different way of choosing the artists. And we introduced, for instance, Peter Garrett. People didn't know Midnight Oil yet. That was they were yet to break. And people like Steve Baders and Michael Monroe, and as well as the rappers. I mean, the rappers was the controversial part of it because people in the industry at that point hoping that rap would just go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people in the industry have tried to treat rap as a cockroach, basically.
Yeah. And you had one of the biggest
Yeah.
rap acts in the world at that time, with Run DMC being a part of it.
Well, they were about to be, yeah. They were about. But people were actually questioning why I was putting, these people that nobody knew. Nobody knew Melly Mel. Nobody knew Duke Booty. Nobody knew, half the rappers. And my position was, listen, this is important, and these guys are important. And for the first time in history, black artists are getting a chance to express themselves. Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder had to fight Berry Gordy to be able to express themselves, as opposed to white artists that were expected to express themselves. I mean, that was actually the obligation of white artists. You weren't a real artist unless you were expressing yourself at that point. And it was exactly the opposite for black artists, which was, absurd. And so here comes rap for the first time. I'm like, this is extremely healthy for the industry and everybody else, especially, just getting a chance to hear the black point of view. And so I insisted on putting them on the record as equals, and I put Melly Mel next to David Ruffin and Bruce Springsteen and Jackson Browne and Bob Dylan, and I felt that strongly about it, and people thought I was crazy,
And I think if you think about the relationship of that to people like Jackson and Bruce, with Bruce, I would single out Philadelphia. That doesn't happen without Sunset. It just doesn't happen because there's no basis for it.
I took my thing at the time was just taking that extreme political position, hoping to politicize my friends, and it really did work, almost everybody on that record was more political after than they were before.
Well, and more political in a more productive way too.
Yeah, and that was healthy too, All of a sudden, Joey Ramone comes out with, Bonzo Goes to Bitburg,
I love that song. What a great song that was.
What a great idea Joey Ramone was.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Johnny liked it, but Joey. But you know what I mean? I mean, all of a sudden it was like, I had great discussions with, guys like Lou Reed who, were innately inherently political, but not particularly active, and it sort of allowed people to look at their work in a different way and say, wow, we can include that subject matter now, in our work, and so it was a big. I think it was an important moment for many reasons, and yeah, I think in the end, we certainly, proved our point with the rap guys. A funny story. Russell Simmons, was in the studio as the manager of Run DMC, and the opening line of the song, we're rockers and rappers united and strong, and he says to me, we're thinking about changing the name of what we do, I said, what do you mean? He says, this rap thing is just kind of too limited, I said, well, what are you going to change it to? He said, well, we're thinking of changing it to hip hop. and I said, Russell, that's the stupidest name I have ever heard in my life. That's never going to work. There you go.
Wow.
As it turns out, both terms have an awfully long half-life. We ain't halfway through yet.
That's true.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing this footage from Sun City when the DVD is released next year.
Yeah, it'll be next year. We're gonna try and get it out for maybe Mandela's birthday or so, somewhere in maybe July or so. But yeah, it's lots of great stuff there. But this box set is quite thorough as far as my early work goes, and I'm glad I'm finally getting it out because people have been asking for remastered versions of my stuff for decades, and never got a chance to do it. So,
and what's
I'm
great,
very happy that Universal's been very, very, very encouraging and very enthusiastic. Bruce Resnikoff, I have to credit him because he's been a real champion, saying we want to put out everything you do,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody ever said that to me before, so that's nice.
Steve Popovich, maybe, but he had other burdens to bear.
No, that's true. No, you're right. Event on November 23rd.
That's
so
right.
We should mention that.
Southside Johnny, and also hosted by Drew Carey.
That's right. Drew has been a terrific DJ on my station. I never knew what a fanatic he was. He's a real garage rock collector, and he's been terrific.
Yeah, he really is. I check him out every time he's on. So, Steve, any interest in getting in front of the camera, doing any acting anytime soon?
Well, yeah, I miss it, and I had to make a decision about that 3 years ago when I first started getting back into the music thing, and I said to myself, you know what, I owe it to my life's work to reconnect with it. I really did abandon it, and I didn't mean to, but I really did abandon my life's work, basically, when I started acting.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me dedicate a couple of years to reconnecting with my own work and see if I can reconnect an audience to it somehow. It's probably too late to do that, but at least I wanted to reconnect with it,
Right.
So I'm glad I did that. I really am. I'm very glad I took that opportunity to do it because it really puts my work in a proper perspective as far as I'm concerned. But I miss TV and I want to get back on TV. We're going to see what Bruce wants to do next year. If we go out with the E Street Band, that's probably going to be 2 years. So it'll be after that. We'll have to take a look at what's going on. I got 5 completed scripts. I got 25 treatments. I got, I'd like to create my own show if possible. But I'm also looking at a few other offers I had. But one way or the other, I want to be back on TV somewhere in the 2022, 2023, somewhere in there.
Great.
And there's a bunch of us who want it to happen, too.
Yeah.
Just out there watching.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I do. I miss it. I love it.
And so we'll just wait and see what's going on with Bruce and the possibility of a tour and all that.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking over the next few weeks, and we'll see what's happening with that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Stephen, thanks for taking some time this morning to call in and talk with us here on E Street Radio. And congratulations again on being honored at the Rock and Roll Forever Foundation's first annual gala.
Thank you, guys. Always good talking to you.
All right, Stephen. We'll talk again soon. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. There you go. Little Steven Van Zandt. The new box set, Rock and Roll Rebel, is available on December 6th. You can pre-order it now. Don't forget teachrock.org, Steven's charity, if you want to get involved with there. There's a lot of great stuff going on.
It's so intense.
Yeah.
I was remembering when I was doing, I think, the second book about Bruce, Glory Days. Steve and I sitting down for an interview, and about halfway through it, Steve says to me, okay, this is what you have to understand. The difference between me and Bruce is this. With Bruce, if you're in, you're in. With me, you got to prove it every day. I don't know how, but his estimate of Bruce might be a little off the mark. His estimate of himself, dead on. That's and if you're friendly with him, you can give yourself an extra star on your forehead for the day.
All right, well, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll start taking some calls at 877-70-BRUCE, 877-702-7823. Again, thanks to Steve Van Zandt for calling in with us this morning. What do you got lined up there, Vinny?